It is winter time, so it is lychee time, and you have probably seen those small exotic fruits in a lot of supermarkets right now because they are in season. The lychee plant is a tropical tree, so it doesn't really grow around where I live, but funny thing is, you can actually grow them at home. Unfortunately, it is a tree that takes at least like 10 to 20 years until it produces any fruit, so it's mainly an ornamental plant, but it's a bit more fun than growing avocados. And today I'll show you how you can grow your own lychees at home during winter time. So the first step is obviously eating your lychees, and if you're done, it should look a little like this. Those are the lychee seeds, and as you can see, although the lychees all look very similar, almost identical, the seeds can vary. I have three actually quite nice ones. This is a little bit smaller, this is quite thick, and this is a bit longer, so they do vary, and it doesn't matter. Like, they could even look a bit deformed, but they will still germinate. So when you eat them, you normally have a bit of pulp left on the seed, so the next step is to clean it off. When you're done, the seeds kind of look like acorns and nice and shiny, so you can see that they're fresh. But be sure to clean them thoroughly, or else if you plant them into soil right now, they could actually catch mold right away. So you could also just keep them in your room for like 2 or 3 days, let them dry a bit. I wouldn't let them dry too long, or else they won't germinate anymore. So clean them really nicely, or leave them 1 or 2 days to dry, maybe even 3 days, and then the next step is planting them into soil. Funny enough, the pot I prepared is actually the basket in which the lychees were in at the store. And I chose this one because it had a fancy lid I can just put onto, so I don't have to put it into a tiny greenhouse or anything, or cover it with different kind of plastic or anything else, or a wrapper. So what you want to do is take your seeds and plant them into the soil like this, so that the rough side is going into the soil and the nice shiny top here can actually stick out a bit, so you can just dig it in like almost half. If you want to be sure, you can actually dig it in lower, or if you don't know which side is which, you can also plant them in the soil like this. I wouldn't plant them too deep. You could put like a centimeter of soil on top of them, but I would recommend doing it like this, just into the loose soil, let it stick out a bit. I'm putting all three in here because I want to save some space. If you have more space, you can actually put each one into a smaller pot. If you're done like that, water it. I actually watered beforehand. I wouldn't use tap water to water the plants. Use like rainwater, because it's a bit more natural for all these tropical plants. They are prone to disease. So I actually grew lychees once before, but after a year almost all of them died, although they grow quite fast, basically like an avocado, but it's really hard to keep them alive in here. So what I'll do is pop on the lid, and then I'll put it somewhere warm and sunny. You don't have to put it somewhere sunny. Warm is the main factor right now, but it's always nice if they get a bit of sunlight, and as soon as they germinate, obviously take off the lid, keep them somewhere warm and also somewhere sunny. So I'll see you in a couple of days. So it's been a bit over 2 weeks now, and I kind of wished I would have put them in the soil completely rather than just put them in half, and I'll show you why. Because I have only one so far that actually shows a bit of rooting now, finally. So I'll just leave this one, and the others haven't really. Although this one, it's hard to tell, cracked open a bit down there. The other one hasn't. So what I'm gonna do now is probably put those two a bit deeper into the soil and hope that this will speed up things now. So it did take several weeks, but finally one of my lychees has sprouted. I think it took at least 4 weeks for this to happen, which is quite a long time because normally they can sprout after a week or two if you do it right. So I didn't really do anything special. I just put them in soil halfway and I sprayed them with water and put a lid on, but the lid had holes. So here are some of my maybe mistakes that I made, but more, some tips for you so that your seeds germinate a bit quicker. And one of the tips is put a lid on top that is sealed, because you won't have any greenhouse effect if it has holes. So I kept that quite warm above my heater, but it did have holes in its lid, so I didn't really have a benefit even though I had the lid on, because no greenhouse effect started. And the next tip is that you can actually put your seeds in warm water for at least 1 to 3 days. Let it soak so it will germinate a bit faster. I didn't do that. If I had, it probably would have taken only like a week or so for them to germinate. So put on a lid for greenhouse effect and maybe soak them in water. And the last thing is, I only put them in halfway, as you can see here, and it probably wasn't that moist because the lid wasn't closed, right? So it didn't take in a lot of water, and that probably slowed down the process of germination too. But even though I didn't really took care of the seedlings that much, or of the seeds that much, they still germinated. At least one did out of 3. The others don't really show any roots. I took one out, as you can see, this one, but as you can see, no roots to show yet. So I don't really think that this will produce any roots. I think I had some problems with some pests that might actually gotten their way into the seed, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm happy that one worked out, especially now since lychee season is over. But this is a fun project that you can do at home if you have leftover seeds. You can do this with a lot of plants actually, but lychees is always fun because they tend to germinate quite fast and grow quite well at the beginning. And it's just a bit different than growing avocados. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I inspired you to try out different fruits such as the lychees, grow them, and just have some fun with it. See you next time.